What is the worst thing you've overheard while pretending to be asleep? In college. Woke up to my roommate's bed creaking. I shoot up to see what the hell is going on. There I see some woman on her back with her legs full spread eagle and my roommate just pile driving it like it was his last day on earth. Like a good bro, I quickly lie back down and pretend to be asleep. Her, in between gasps of air, "Is your roommate awake?" Him, "Nah, he sleeps through anything." Cue to next morning. I casually get up and turn on my PlayStation 2 and start playing some random game. Roommate's fling gets up and casually comes over and sits next to me. Her, "Good morning," my name. Me, "Good morning," her name. Her, "Did you sleep good last night?" Yeah, I can sleep through anything. As the last word left my mouth, I immediately realize I blew it. She began a huge flurry of slaps at my roommate while cursing at him. He didn't care because he was too busy laughing the whole time. Story 2. I was a camp counselor. 2 girls very much liked to make hot or not lists. One of them suggested a male counselor was hot, and the other said he was saying mean things about me behind my back, which made him not hot. Hurt to hear from my campers, but I'm glad they supported me. Story 3. My mom trying to calm my dad down out of a fit where he wanted to unalive himself. My brother and I had been really bad that day, and when he grounded us, we both told him that we hated him and wanted him to go away. He didn't do anything wrong. My brother and I were just a couple of immature little jerks. He, I'm pretty sure blackout drunk at this point, which I had never seen and still haven't since then, walked into our room that night and I pretended to fall asleep. Then he just started these deep, haunting sobs that I'll probably never forget. He stumbled outside and we could hear him begging my mom to let him die and sobbing, "All I ever wanted in my entire life was to be a better dad than mine." I was only 11 or so, but it destroyed my heart. I think that's the time I learned that emotional pain can actually physically hurt. I was hunched over in my bed, bawling my eyes out and on the verge of throwing up. I also felt like a jerk for what we said. My brother thankfully was able to sleep through it all. I think about that every 2 weeks or so, and I always message him to tell him I love him when I do. I hope he forgot about it, but being a dad myself now, I don't think it's something you truly ever forget. It might not hurt like it did in the moment, but I don't think you forget. Like most heartbreaking things, I guess. I mean, as a kid, you just don't know the weight of what you're saying. And I guess in most cases it has less weight when you're a kid, but it can still hurt all the same as a parent, especially on a particularly bad day. I hope OP's dad is doing better now, and I'm really glad that OP took action to make his dad feel better. I'm sure that genuinely that has gone a really long way, so good for them. Story 4. Acted asleep while family were talking amongst themselves about me getting married off to this girl who's educated but 5 years older than me. I was 15. Then she got married and divorced and absolutely ragdoll abused, so I actually feel bad about it now. Edit. Some backstory. Girl had just graduated and family wanted her to marry. She agreed and their family made a list of possible suitors. I was one on that list. We were close-ish, but I had an almost fully developed beard at the time, so they assumed I was older, I think. When it was brought up, I outright rejected it because she was figuratively a big sister to me, always looking out for me. It was an arranged marriage. Their family married her off and they moved abroad. I don't know what the hell was going through their minds. They married her to a 28-year-old with mental health issues, and she would always get beat up every day because he assumed that she was cheating. Then she got pregnant and he didn't believe it was his. It was. Police got involved and then family, uncles, aunts, it disgusts me to even say that, intervened. She has now been 2 years free of that monster, but he's not in jail, so it pains me to this day. I know it's not my fault, but I just have some guilt that maybe I could have stopped that. And I apologize for using the term ragdoll abused, because mostly people wouldn't see her for months on end and she would always be covered up and sore. I did not mean it in a derogatory manner. Were arranged marriages ever a good idea? I can't think of any legitimate reason in this day and age where an arranged marriage would be good. Like, okay, back in the day, they had those arranged marriages because, oh, you're getting married for political reasons. Tough luck, you're a princess. Fine. Obviously still very problematic for many reasons, but they didn't understand mental health like we do, and they also didn't understand that women should also be happy, so anyway. But nowadays, I feel like there's no excuse to still have arranged marriages. I know for some people it's just cultural, but even then, it feels very archaic to me, even from a culture standpoint. I don't care if it's tradition, it's proven to be actively harmful, so maybe don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna get some backlash for that. That would be exciting. Maybe there are more reasons that I'm not thinking of too, so if you do have any legitimate reasons that could explain why arranged marriages aren't bad, then please tell me. I'm open-minded, always willing to learn, I promise. Story 5. Sleeping over at a friend's house when I was 14. All of us on the floor in the living room. Couldn't sleep. Two of my friends, guy and a girl directly next to me, start doing freaky things to each other. I was extremely shy and a couple of years younger than them, so I stayed quiet and hoped that they would stop. Had to listen to them for an hour while she made weird moaning, squeaky noises and he was singing in a slightly weird, whispery, singy voice. They were Matchbox 20 songs, and he was doing whatever he was doing at the same time. That was the last time I slept over at a friend's house. Story 6. I wasn't pretending to be asleep per se, but I was well on my way. I was under anesthesia and was fading in and out. I remember closing my eyes to help move things along. I was in a lot of pain because my appendix ruptured, and this happened years ago, so I can't remember all the details, unfortunately. I remember being moved to an operating table and they told me to take my shirt off, I think. I heard someone go, "What do you think would happen if I poked your belly button right now?" I was an outie prior to having an appendectomy. They went through my belly button, so that is no longer the case. Anyway, someone very quickly responded, "Dude, that is not funny. Remember what happened last time?" It's possible I was starting to dream, but I remember it making me feel a mixture of amusement and anxiety. Story 7. On a class trip, I had a girl talk badly about me to the other girls in my room, saying I was a slur and too dumb to stand up for myself. She said the only reason she didn't bully me out of this school was because she needed me to help her with her homework. Then my best friend stood up for me. She said that I wasn't dumb and just a bit shy, and then told her to screw off. Story 8. I wasn't pretending to be asleep so much as they just assumed I was. My in-laws thought I was still napping after dropping my kid off at school, and they started to talk crap about me. They said I was a terrible mom, I didn't take care of my kids at all, and they better buy a cake because I would rather sleep all day than make him a cake. It was his birthday, and my god, it was only 10 a.m. It doesn't take that long to make and frost a cake for him. Anyway, I cried in my room for 2 hours before they left to buy groceries, i.e. drink themselves into a stupor, before I got up and made the cake and birthday dinner my child asked for. I didn't tell my husband what they said until a week later because I didn't want to ruin his or my child's day. That is some level of boldness to talk crap about someone who is right there, regardless of if you think they're sleeping or not. I could never. I don't really talk crap about people that often anyway, but if someone's right there, especially not. Those people have no shame. Story 9. My roommate's girlfriend begging for butt stuff, but not in a hot way. So for context, this was freshman year of college, and my roommate for it was a nice dude in an incredibly toxic long-distance relationship with his girlfriend. She constantly called him and accused him of cheating. He never actually left the room except to go to class. I assumed she was cheating on him, because why else would she constantly assume he was cheating when she had no evidence that he had done it? And he had never done it before. But I never paid attention to the details of the conversations. In fact, I only knew about the cheating accusations because she constantly logged into his Facebook and messaged me pretending to be him, trying to get me to say that he cheated. Anyway, she visited. They went out on a date night and I went out drinking. I had a fight with the girl I'd been dating, so I went home and went to bed early. I was almost asleep when they came in, making out and all that. I was annoyed but tried to sleep. They were getting busy and then it got weird. "You can put it in my butt." Oh god. He was like, "Are you sure?" She goes, "Yeah, John did it, so it's only fair. Plus, you're smaller, so it'll be easy." Wait, what? He says. "Yeah, come on." No, that's super screwed up. Why would you say that? What the hell? I thought we were past that. "Well, mostly, but it felt unfair to not let you." I don't want to. You know what? I don't even want to do it. Just go to sleep. Her, now in a high-pitched, pleading voice, "Please, screw my butt. Come on, it's no big deal." I don't want to. It continued back and forth until he finally relented. Then she goes, It's not even hard. Why isn't it hard?" They both cried. I finally fell asleep. They dated another 6 months. Edit to add a few things. 1. I never talked to him about this, nor did I tell friends, only read it. 2. It's worth noting that he did want to do butt stuff. He had mentioned before that he wanted it with her, but she wasn't a fan. 3. I don't know what happened, but I do know they did it at some point. Because the next year doing Never Have I Ever, he said he had. And I remember this because another guy at the party insisted that butt stuff, regardless of the genders or sexes of the people banging, was gay, and it became a whole thing. Yes, that guy ended up coming out of the closet, though not till senior year. My roommate is doing very well and is in a happy, healthy marriage as best as I can tell, and no, not with that girl. Regarding why he didn't dump her, he knew she was toxic, but she had been such a great girlfriend in high school and he loved her. He thought it could be fixed. He finally gave it up over summer break. What was even the game plan from the girlfriend here? What are you doing? Why would anyone ever be okay with you saying that? Also, yeah, that girl's super screwed up. Hell no, glad he got out of that. That girl was out to ruin his life. Or at least make him miserable. I can't help but feel she's just at least a little naive though, because at the end it's not even hard. Like, are you kidding me? Do you understand how anything works? Very strange. But that sounds like a wild ordeal to just listen to while you're pretending to be asleep. I'm surprised OP didn't break and say something. Story 11. Roommate's boyfriend and his friend came into my room when they thought I was asleep. It was warm and I was sleeping naked with minimal blanket coverage. I froze and pretended to sleep. They proceeded to talk about my body and how it was anyone's type. Also how easy it was to drug ladies these days. Oh, and also the friend talked about how easy it would be to steal/sell my boyfriend's boat motor that he had stored in the room. Yeah, so they were kicked out and friend became an ex-friend because she was upset that I would let my boyfriend kick them out. Story 12. Found out my dad's best friend died. They had been friends since they were literally 5 years old. Went to the same school, stayed best friends for 50 years. When he became an alcoholic and cut off contact with everyone, my dad still reached out to him multiple times, even though he obviously wasn't ready. He eventually got off the drink and they became really close again and were calling each other every day. I woke up to the phone ringing and my dad looking at it and immediately saying to my mom, "Oh God, I think he's dead." He knew that she only called when something bad was up, and he had been hospitalized multiple times because of his drinking. I remember saying on a post years ago that I dread to think of the day that his best friend died because I knew it was coming soon because of his past. My dad is old and is the type of guy who just wants a chat, and I know a lot of people he talks to don't want that. Anyway, I heard it all unfold and pretended to sleep because I just didn't know what to say. I couldn't even imagine losing a best friend for that long. I sat in my bed for hours thinking about it, but just laying still. I didn't fully process it until I went to work, and I spent nearly 2 hours crying in the toilets. That was the only time I cried in my adult life. Story 13. When I was a kid, I used to be scared of monsters or something creeping up on me in my sleep, so I would always ask my dad to check on me before he went to bed. It made me feel more comfortable. One night, I was still awake when I heard him coming up the stairs, and I wasn't supposed to be awake, and I knew I would get in trouble if he saw me, so I pretended to be asleep. He came into my room and just kind of stared at me for a few seconds. Then he came up close to my bed, lifted the blanket up, farted under it, turned around, and left. It's been at least 15 years and I remember that night vividly. He vehemently denies it to this day, but I know what happened. Story 14. My mom and I were sharing a hotel room on a trip and unfortunately only had one bed, so we had to share that too. As I was trying to fall asleep, I kept hearing the text tone from my mom's phone going off and her giggling. My parents hate each other, so I knew it wasn't my dad she was texting with. Curious, I opened my eyes just a little bit to see that she was flirting with other men while on a trip with her family, and I was in fact staring at a dong pic. I couldn't really go back to sleep after that. Story 15. When I was a kid, I was pretending to sleep in the car. I was in the back seat next to my older sister. I was probably 6 or 7, so she would have been 13. She let out a raunchy, all windows down, gag the rest of the car sort of fart. It was loud, but we were both in the back. She immediately blames it on me farting in my sleep. The whole car laughs and rolls down their windows, and I stayed asleep. Not one person to this day knows that it was her, and she still thinks she got away with it. I got you, sis. Story 16. When I was 12, I was staying with my aunt and cousins for a few weeks during summer. My male cousin was 4 years older than me. One night I was laying down in the loft, my sleeping quarters for the trip, and my cousin came home late with a friend. They came up to the loft where they would normally hang out and began talking. The friend noticed that I was asleep, asked my cousin if he could touch me. There was a whole back and forth about it, but in the end my cousin agreed to let him. His friend then proceeded to touch me. I was terrified and pretended to stay asleep. After a moment I moved a bit and rolled over, much like you would in your sleep. That was enough to get him to stop. I freaking hate that cousin to this day. This is not good. I don't really know of another way to say this. This is not good at all. This makes me unhappy with humanity. Story 17. 4 years ago, after a night out in NYC with a friend, we decided to crash at her parents' Manhattan apartment. They lived full-time outside of the city, instead of trekking back to our respective places. Her and her siblings basically used the apartment as a crash pad for whenever they were in that part of the city, and we were aware that one of her older brothers might show up there to sleep that night. When we got home, he wasn't there, and I opted to sleep on this really cool, enormous window seat in the living room instead of sharing a bed with my friend. I must have drifted off for a while, but I woke up to him coming into the apartment and talking on the phone. I decided to pretend to be asleep, since I had only met him once and didn't want to make sleepy small talk. I then heard him say to the other person on the phone, "Oh, I forgot, blank, friend, has this girl over. Yeah, she's cute. I'm pretty sure she's asleep. Yeah, definitely asleep. I could just go over there and get on top of her for sure. I mean, yeah, it's been a long time. He continued to vocally consider assaulting me and took a step or two closer to the window while I laid there frozen, until he finally said something along the lines of, "Nah, I probably shouldn't. Anyway, a friend's name is here," and walked away. I forced myself to stay awake for as long as I could, slept for maybe an hour or two, and left as soon as I could in the morning. I told my friend what her brother had said, and her response was essentially, "Well, he's lonely." Like, why are these even thoughts that go through people's heads? I don't get it. It's so easy not to do this to someone, isn't it? And I don't mean like intrusive thoughts. I mean, everyone has weird intrusive thoughts about everything. Should I swerve onto the other side of traffic? You could. Sure, that's a thought. That's fine. This man actively considered this out loud. This is inexcusable. Story 18. My father used to work really late nights, coming home at anywhere between midnight and 2 a.m. I remember falling asleep on the couch and smelling my mom making some fresh tortillas for his dinner. I closed my eyes because I heard the door open and wondered if I would be carried. Instead, I heard him get washed up and I heard him ask my mom had I ate yet. She told him that I was waiting on him but not to wake me because it was a school night. I remember feeling sad because I thought I would be left alone and starving. But then my dad woke me up with a tortilla in his hand and tore off a piece of it, fed it to me, and told me to come eat with him. I guess this doesn't count as hearing something bad, but for some reason I thought of that memory. My father passed away 2 years ago from colon cancer at the age of 52. But what I would give to be 8 again, just waiting for him to come home. This is a really sweet one that I definitely needed after some of those last ones. This restores some faith in humanity at least. Thank you, OP. This is a great story. Story 19. Went off to Vegas with coworkers and got connecting rooms. I got back pretty wasted, lay down, and fell asleep. Shortly afterwards, my coworker walks in and silently starts drinking by the window. Shortly after that, my assistant manager walked in, sober-ish, and started arguing with the coworker by the window for 7 hours. Apparently, they had been hooking up and all of his insecurities were coming out. I was terrified because I felt like they were either about to start hitting each other or start banging. Story 20. Not exactly a bad thing, but we had a sleepover, and one of my best friends liked a girl from the group of friends we had gathered there. Apparently, she liked him back. So it was arranged that I would sleep on the couch in the living room. They were in front of me sitting together, while hugged in front of the fireplace. I pretended that I was fully asleep so my friend could make a move. I heard their entire 2-hour convo before they started making out. I literally couldn't sleep as they were talking so much. Not gonna lie, it was really cringy, but I powered through. They were checking on me then and there to see if I was awake, which for me was the most awkward part. They're in a relationship now and they're doing pretty well together. Story 21. I'd been laying in bed awake for a while, putting off getting up, when I overheard my roommate interrogating his girlfriend about the affair we were allegedly having. He sounded pretty unhinged, but she remained remarkably calm while he pressed her to explicitly deny engaging in a list of specific intimate acts with me. It was some weird and unsettling crap. There was nothing going on and I had no idea what would make him think anything was. We'd gotten along just fine up until then, and I was worried that my living situation was about to become a lot more tense. His girlfriend was gone by the time I got up, and life continued like nothing happened. Eventually, I learned that my wonderful roommate, whom I'd known for years, was really an abusive jerk, who would grill his girlfriend about made-up accusations for reasons I don't fully comprehend. Apparently, this is a pretty common behavior for abusers, and it wouldn't be the last time I encountered it.